Hi everyone, it's Crystal from Jingho Property here. So today we'll be talking about Hudson Place Residences. Now Hudson Place Residences seems like a pretty decent entry into the whole One North. Price seems to be lower than the current LCR projects, but the demand seems pretty good, and there's this whole Kampong AI story that's coming up.
Kampong AI at One North.
But before we decide whether Hudson Place is a good project or not, we need to understand what kind of project it actually is. Now Hudson Place sits in the Middle Circle area, part of the Greater One North. So this is an area that is still very much under development. It's developed by Qingjian, comprising 327 units ranging from 2 to 4 bedrooms and penthouses. Now developers bought the land at 1037 PSF. If they were to launch at an estimated average of 2,500 PSF, and we take that to compare against the current RCL projects, which are transacting at 2700 PSF, Hudson Place does seem like a pretty reasonable entry price. If you compare that to One North Eden, a recently TOP project that is already transacting close to an average of 2,400 PSF, but it is not a harmonized project. So after we accounting everything, it is quite similar to what you will get for Hudson Place Residences. Now, if you compare that to Dover Medway, a recent GRS site that was awarded, it was awarded at 156 PSF. So if developers are to launch it, they will have to launch it very close to an average of 3,000 PSF. So comparing all this, it looks like you're getting into a discount for Hudson Place Residences. But whether that's cheap or fairly priced, we will leave it to later. Then we also look at rental transactions at Momentum Park and One North Eden. The turnover is actually quite healthy. So on the surface, demand does look strong. And of course, the big narrative, the whole Kampong AI story, we're expecting more tenants to come into this area, more professionals, more jobs. So actually, if you look at all these three things, Hudson Place does seem like a pretty good investment. However, if we were to dive in a bit deeper, we will see that the recent land plot actually received no bids, with reasons such as location attributes and a weak owner-occupied demand. So even at a developer level, there's already some form of caution. However, the real problem is how this entire area is being developed. Right now, you have Bloomsbury being launched, you have Hudson Place coming up, and potentially more plots in the pipeline. So this is not just one project, but really a cluster of projects that are being built together. And that changes the whole game completely. Because when multiple projects complete at the same time, you're competing for tenants, resale buyers, and overall attention of the market. Now here's the interesting part. Earlier on, we said rental demand looks strong, transaction volumes looks pretty healthy, but that might not actually mean a strong demand. It might just mean there isn't enough supply right now in the market. So right now, tenants don't have much choices in the area itself. So naturally, these projects will definitely see a higher turnover rate. But once all these new developments start coming in, the whole dynamic might change very quickly. This liquidity might not be tomorrow's liquidity. So if you were to sum it up, people stay here because they work here. Typically professionals who value time and convenience, so they're willing to pay for it. This is provided if more jobs come in, but the demand is also quite specific. It mainly comes from people who are working in the One North area. So this is not a mass market demand kind of pool. So if that group doesn't grow, so demand wouldn't grow as well. However, with the whole AI push, the government does has a very strong, clear direction of how this One North will pan out. So demand may grow, but supply is also growing too. Landlords will also have to compete on pricing, layout, and how well the unit is done up. So the opportunity in runoff is real, but it is also very dependent on employment growth and supply play out together. If you're looking at Hudson Place purely as an investment, you need to know very clearly what you're betting on.